Now, we all know that it's World Mental Health Day today. And obviously, we were planning on having a conversation about prioritizing mental well-being, prioritizing our mental health as much as our physical health. And what better day to do it than today? To talk about how all of us, whether or not we're facing problems, of anxiety or anything else, even if you're feeling just fine, how you maintain your mental well-being, what we should be doing in order to make sure that we stay healthy. That's the conversation we are focusing on. And as you know, we try and bring forward as many issues as we can, specifically to do with things that our audience cares about. So we started working on this show on mental well-being, and we were very happy that through our conversation, the brand Fiamma decided to come on board and collaborate with us and have this conversation about mental well-being. Fiamma, we understand, is also launching, an endeavor that they are doing right now to talk about or to encourage conversations about mental well-being. And that's really fantastic. So part of that collaboration as well, they've decided to come on board with this conversation. And it helps us bring more and more conversations forward as independent journalists when we have brands partner with us on issues that we care about. So we're really happy to have Fiamma partner with us and collaborate with us on this conversation. And of course, we will continue, as we always do, to have more and more conversations about mental health and push that conversation forward, and take your questions and try and answer them through the course of this one and the other ones forward. Now, before I bring in my guests, let me tell you what we're looking at. Fiamma and Nielsen have put together a survey where they spoke to 700 Indians between the ages of 18 and 45. And they asked them a few questions about what they think of mental health and mental wellness. Now, more than 77% of the people who answered the survey felt that there isn't enough conversation happening right now on mental health and mental well-being. 87% believe that mental health is as important as physical fitness and physical health, which is really great. It's really heartening to know that. 70% said that those under the age of 25 have issues with mental well-being already. And 60% felt that social media plays a part in it one way or the other. So this is what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the fact that, when we feel ill physically, we go to a doctor. But even when you're not feeling ill, there are certain number of things that we do in order to just stay healthy, right? You eat well, don't smoke, don't eat processed foods or sugar, eat a lot of vegetables. We know these things. I want to know what the mental well-being equivalent of it. So that's the physical equivalent of staying healthy. What is the mental equivalent of staying healthy? How do we make sure that we're able to process the stress, process bad news, process stressful times that happen to us, and still stay healthy, still stay mentally sort of in a good place? That's the conversation that we're focusing on today, because we want to broad base this conversation to as many people as possible. So joining me today to have this conversation, I have such a stellar group of people. I'm really excited. My first guest is the amazingly talented and very, very brave Kubbra Sait, who is an actor. The face is extremely familiar because she's so wildly successful, and a really good friend of mine. Kubbra is currently shooting in Ireland, but she's made time to be part of this conversation. I'm so happy she joined us. Harish Iyer is an activist and who has become sort of a godmother, character to so many young people who reach out to him for help when they go through difficult times. So he's such an important voice to talk to. We have Dr. Sagar Mundada, who joins us right now. He's a consultant psychiatrist and a de-addiction specialist. Remember, we have to also talk about, addiction and about a lot of the other stresses that come into our lives. Dr. Mundada has actually been speaking to me about mental health now for at least 4 years. So happy to have him join this conversation. And through the course of this chat, we'll have Dr. Anjali Chhabria, who's a psychiatrist and author, join us as well. And so will Shaheen Bhatt, who's also an author. Thank you all for making time for us to talk about mental health. If I may start with Kubbra Sait, because she's so amazing. Kubbra, thank you for joining us. I want to understand from you, obviously you live a stressful life, or a life that has a lot of demands on you mentally and physically. Do you think it's important for us, while we work on our fitness, to also work on generally relaxing and keeping our minds in a good place?
Hi, Faye. Yes, I absolutely agree with every word you spoke, because I think the one thing that sets our profession apart from the rest of the professions, apart from the fact that most people end up doing this because it's their passion. But the
Mm.
thing that sets our profession apart is that we don't have an off day. We're always switched on. We can't, walk out on the street and, somebody says they want a picture. We can't be like, sorry, I'm not in the mood today. Or I don't want to do this today, or I can't do that today. You always have to have the switched on button always handy. And sometimes that does take a toll on you, because you stop feeling, you stop realizing when you're acting and when you're being, and
Mm.
be a hazard to your personal self, I think, in the long run. So it's extremely important, in my opinion, to spend time with yourself, with your thoughts, and declutter, de stress, so that at least you are doing justice to who you are as a person, because your profession is always an additional layer to who you are. It is not who you are.
Yeah.
And I think when you are able to make that division and that difference, uh, it becomes critical for you as a human being. I mean, you start respecting yourself more, you start loving yourself more. And when you do that, you automatically start spreading the joy and sharing that love and abundance with other people around you. That's what I think.
It's amazing you said that because one of the things is that people, once in a while, people lose it, right? You throw a tantrum, you get upset. But if Kubbra were to throw a tantrum and get upset in public, people would take a photograph and say, "Oh, look, Kubbra lost it on a waiter in a restaurant."
Film actress, calm, melt down.
So, and the other point that I want to, because this is something that I realized as well, because when I was working in television, it was such a non-stop hamster wheel. Saturdays, Sundays, public holidays, you never stop, and you become so attached to your self-worth from your profession. And the tough part about being an actor, I know, is that you might have done a fantastic film, but you don't know where the next film is going to come from, right? So there's a certain level of uncertainty. How important was it for you, and how did you manage to sort of disconnect self-worth from whether or not you were signing or not signing, or how meetings were going?
So I, as a rule, for the last, I think, 5 or 6 years now, I take off on vacations. And these are vacations that are not induced by work, because I think for the first 10 years, when I was hosting a lot of events, I would end up getting a ticket to fly to some place.
Mm-hmm.
But then I said, apart from that, I'm still going to fly and I'm still going to go do my holiday. So I started looking at things that interested me. And that was like diving or climbing a mountain or jumping off a plane. So I wanted to spend time with myself doing things that I really like to do. And that kind of brought me closer to myself. And that kind of enhanced my self worth. And I was like, I don't necessarily need to be signing a film or doing this or doing that or hosting a show or saying good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to like strangers all the time. And I don't have to be, I can relax, I can just be myself. And also, I think there was an adrenaline factor that comes in when there is a challenge or an experience. So I think I started doing that for myself, and that
Yeah.
automatically kind of helped me build my self worth. Hi, Shah.
Right. Let me. That's such a beautiful thing. Let me just bring in the other two guests as well. I understand Shaheen Bhatt is also with us. Shaheen, thank you for joining us. Harish Iyer is with us. Harish, what advice would you give to young people who I know that you're in touch with? What advice do you follow for yourself to sort of keep it together? Because I do know that a lot of times, given your line of work, it takes a toll. You start to feel tired. You start to, sort of say, "Ah, I can't take this anymore." So, what do you do to sort of keep it together?
Yeah, I've got a close circle of friends. So I have this one inner circle of friends, and then another inner circle of friends. So when I get terribly, so I don't keep things to myself. That is one thing that I
Mhm.
don't do. I either journal. I write a journal quite regularly. I journal quite regularly, and I have this group of friends, and I would go, and I know that this group of friends would not judge me. or and I can open up about anything, whether it is about me being angry with somebody, me being upset with something, me being content with something also, even too much of happiness for that matter. If I've got everything working in my favor, then you kind of, after a while, it doesn't have the same effect on you. You kind of get used to it, and then you keep wondering, yeah, when is this going to change? This going to change? So you actually look for challenges at that time, and you actually want to have roadblocks in your life at that time, and you make your life difficult at that time. And this is a human pattern that I've seen in myself and in other people also. That when everything is going hunky dory, you would want some, because you're so used to change and a tumultuous life, that sometimes you actually build a roadblock for yourself in some way or the other. You go looking for trouble. So I have this close circle of friends whom I would speak to quite often, and I visit a mental health professional very regularly, very, very, very regularly.
Well, before I go to Dr. Mundada, I just want to quickly bring in Shaheen. But Shaheen, thank you for making time for us. It's really kind of you to join us on this conversation. We were just sharing stories about what we each do to sort of keep it together on a daily basis. What is our mental equivalent of working out and eating healthy and sort of staying in a good place? So I want to know what you do.
I am in therapy. I do therapy. I'm currently doing therapy twice a week, thanks to the pandemic and everything that's been going on. So therapy has been a regular facet, a regular part of my life since I was, now 19, 20 years old. I'm a journaler as well. I find journaling to be extremely therapeutic. And it's not, as a writer, I usually I have a lot of push pull with the writing process, but journaling is one of those things that makes me feel, immediately as soon as I write how I'm feeling, it's evacuating bad feelings, it's evacuating feelings that I don't know where to put in that moment. It's the kind of thing that really helps me see a lot of triggers and patterns, and it's one of those things that's really really helped me over the years. And all the things that you hear, that you should do but that are hard to do very often, eating well, like you said, exercising, these are all not just things you have to do for your physical health. These are all things that play a very big part in your mental health as well. So when you're able to do them, when I'm emotionally in a resilient enough place, I make sure I eat well, I sleep well, I exercise. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love the phrase evacuating bad feelings. It's so well put together. I want to take that to Dr. Mundada. Let me just read out a very interesting lineup of things to do. Talk to yourself, spend time with yourself, talk to your friends, maintain a journal, obviously use therapy as often as you need to, and evacuate the bad feelings. Dr. Mundada, do you agree that these are all things that we can do to sort of maintain a certain mental well-being?
I totally agree with what you have said, and beautifully put by all the panelists before me. Everybody, first of all, when we say how to maintain a good mental health, there is no 100% set formula that will work for everybody. So it's not that, okay, this is the given formula and this is the schedule that you have to follow, and everybody will have a good mental health. So, first of all, it is something which is a little individualized. Secondly, as you said, just talking, just giving time to yourself, having some me time today has become so important, because see any second person, and you will find that if they have 5 minutes free, they're scrolling something on the net. They're either on social
Yes.
media, or they're on the computer, or they are on Facebook or something, and they are not giving their brain time to just relax a little. I think that is something that needs to be done. The importance of doing nothing. When we say what are we? As humans, we are human beings. We don't define ourselves as human doings. We say we are human beings. So first we have to be. How do you do that? Take at least half an hour every day and do something called as mindfulness. It's a word that has been coming up in the lexicon very much these days, more so in the corporate culture. So just sit with yourself, no mobile phone, no interaction with anybody else, and look at the thoughts that are coming into your mind. You'll realize it's very difficult at start. If you're not doing anything, you'll get all sorts of negative thoughts. What mindfulness tells you to do is, let's say I give you an example. We are sitting here in Mumbai. You are a Mumbaikar, I am a Mumbaikar. We love Marine Drive, and everybody The country loves it. Let's say, imagine that you're sitting at Marine Drive and your thoughts are like the vehicles that are coming and going on Marine. So you'll have some BMWs once in a while, you'll have some Audis once in a while, but you'll also have some normal cars coming in. So consider the normal cars to be the negative thoughts or the self-defeating thoughts, and consider the BMWs and the Mercedes to be the positive thoughts. The positive thoughts will always, as a rule, generally in most of the people, be less. But through mindfulness, what we learn to do is we look at those thoughts, both the positive ones and the negative ones. And even when the negative thoughts come, we tell ourselves that they're going to come and they're going to flow and they're going to go like the waves in a river. So we don't get caught up or we don't get overwhelmed by that. That is something I feel nobody is doing these days. And mindfulness and just focusing on your breathing while doing so is something that really, really helps. Second important thing that I think again is underestimated is the importance of 7 to 8 hours of good sleep. Now, there are certain people who do very well even with 5 to 6 hours, but generally, if you have the 7 to 8 hours of sound, nice sleep, it is like you're rebooting your brain. It is like you have the dash charger to your brain, and that really helps you get all the positivity back. The third thing that many of the panelists also said is journaling. It is so therapeutic. Shaheen very nicely described that as evacuation. Some people say it's like a catharsis for them. Many people do not have a people or a social structure around them where they can just express what they want to in a very, very unfiltered way. So here journaling acts as a catharsis and just kind of empties your mind. Otherwise, it's like your mind is getting things on top of each other and becomes very difficult to handle for anybody.
Well, I want to ask you one question. Shai mentioned workouts, and a lot of people say do yoga, do meditation, work out. Could you explain to me scientifically how that helps mental health?
All right. See, when we do a workout or when we physically exercise, and when I'm saying exercise, and as Shaheen said, workout means a workout. It doesn't mean a troll in the joggers park. It doesn't mean just walking around, strolling around somewhere. That does not count as a workout. When you do excessive exercise of the aerobic form, what is the aerobic form? Wherein your body is getting more and more oxygen. Therefore, your brain is getting more oxygen. What that does is, of course, more oxygen, your body is getting more nutrients. Second, it releases what we call as the feel-good chemicals or the high chemicals called as endorphins. And once those endorphins are kind of released into your brain, you have no other option but to feel energetic. You automatically will feel energetic. So this is the most natural and the best way to release those endorphins in your brain. But the condition is it has to be a rigorous workout. It has to be at least for 15 to 30 minutes. You just can't go onto the treadmill and do it for 5 minutes and say, oh, I'm doing a great workout and now I'm going to feel all good. You won't be able to do that. Second is you have to get into that habit. Many people that come to us, they say, doctor, yes, we have been trying what you're saying, but it's not helping. The reason is because they're not persistent in it. If you start doing it as a habit, if you tell yourself, force yourself for the first 15, 20 days, believe me, then the rest of the journey is blissful.
That's actually very beautiful. I want to open this up to the whole panel and just, talk about a couple of other things. Now, it's easy to maintain a routine and to, work out and keep a journal when things are going well or when things are going normally. But one of the things that happens is that we have bad news, and I think that this period of lockdown has perhaps been a series of bad news. Whether it has to do with personal bad news, family-led bad news, people losing jobs, people taking pay cuts, loved ones who have been lost to the virus, or for whose safety we're worried about. How do you maintain that sort of balance even when things go bad? And I'm opening up to this to the whole panel. Kubbra, I'll start with you, because you know what, life is full of ups and downs, right? So we have good days and we have bad days. Days when you don't really want to get out of bed because you're just like, what's the point? How do you at that point sort of keep it together? How do you keep your routine, your journaling, or whatever it is you do to sort of keep it together?
So apart from the journaling, there's another thing that came into our lives. And when I say our lives, our families' lives, which was the gratitude jar.
Okay.
So that's a gratitude jar, which was empty. And she said, any like how doctor said, you may have the happy thoughts like the BMWs and the Audis. So every time there would be a happy thought or something great that happened to us, and no matter how big or small it would be, I would write that in a chit and drop it into my gratitude jar. And there would be days when obviously you just don't know how to pick yourself up and move on.
Yes.
Sometimes
Yes.
it's really important to emphasize on how important grief is. You know, we don't pay enough importance to grief. Sometimes I may take much longer to get over something. It may not be that easy for me to, like, you know, shut down my system and shut down how I feel and move on with it. But I think acknowledging that and going through grief, and I think once I've passed the grieving period and I feel a little better, I think I would reach out to my gratitude jar, which makes me feel happy about something that happened sometime in my life. And that is again like an endorphin kick. And it puts me back on my feet and adds that little spring to my step. I think that's been something that's been helping me get through for a very, very long.
That's such a beautiful and such an easy to adopt suggestion. Shaheen, same question to you. What do we do when the going gets tough?
Sometimes you can't do anything. Sometimes it gets the better of you, and that is just a fact of life. So that's, I mean, for me, I've realized that that's been a huge sort of part in me also learning how to heal myself, is allowing myself days when I can't do all those things, where I can't push past it, I can't work out, I can't. I have a bad day. I don't eat well. You know, so I think it's been a very important part of my healing to understand that I'm human. I will slip up, and that's okay. So part of my acceptance is saying it's okay to have a bad day, and you know, tomorrow we'll try again. But what Kubbra said is actually it is very important. Gratitude. It's been scientifically proven that gratitude actually, practicing gratitude on a daily basis actually has a significant positive impact on mental health. And so that is something that I try to sort of practice also on a daily basis. It's, you know, the pits and the peaks of your day.
Yes.
So it's something that I just try to hold on to, and I try to remind myself of on a very consistent basis.
Well, Dr. Anjali Chhabria joins us right now. Doc, thanks for joining us. We're talking about what each of us can do to sort of keep it together on a daily basis. Because, you know, and here's the thing, right? And the more I started thinking about the topic of this conversation and writing it down and sort of fleshing it out, I realized that I think it's in the second or the third standard in school, they teach us that you have to exercise and eat good food and you have to keep yourself healthy and smoking is bad for health and all of these things. But nobody ever, even in college, tells you about mental health. No one tells you how to stay fit mentally. And, you know, especially young people today, they are being thrown into this world of social media. And I was just reading out the Fiamma Nielsen survey, where more than 60% felt that social media plays some part in taking a toll on mental health. So I want to understand from you, first of all, what you advise your patients to do on a daily basis for just mental wellness. And do you believe we're living in a harder world now than maybe 20, 30 years ago?
So, to answer your first question first, is that if you want to do your best to remain emotionally healthy, you know, I suggest divide your day into five. Okay, one part of the day, take care of yourself. So, whether it's sleeping properly, eating properly, you know, not having too much caffeine, alcohol, etc. You know, but don't spend more than one fifth of your day taking care of yourself, because that's when you will get obsessed with yourself. The other second fifth you spend is on your work. Okay, so whatever work you want to do, and especially today where people are working from anywhere, you know, just make sure that when you're working, you're working completely. Put off your social media and switch on your working shoes. Okay, just spend one fifth of your day working. Okay, not more than that, because you'll become workaholic. That's not good for you. The third fifth is to do things that you like. You know, you like to sing, this is the time. You like to dance, whatever you want to do, this is the time that you need to do it, because yes, your emotional health is in your hand. The fourth is to connect with people. Okay, it does not take time. You know, I don't like the word social distancing. It's only physical distancing. I'm not connected with as many people as I have connected in the last 6 months. And when you connect, you truly connect. It just takes you maybe 5 minutes a day to connect with people you love. And the fifth is doing some acts of kindness. Whether it's whatever you like, again, you like to do something for plants, please do it. You want to be kind to animals, do something for animal welfare. You want to be kind to someone who's having a bad day, wherever you can reach out to help. Now, when you do that, what happens is that you're truly living your day in its entirety. You know, you can't, like, suppose all my day I'm only sitting and doing charity and I'm not doing the other things, somewhere it's going to get to me. If I'm only connecting with people and not working and not doing anything else, again, it's going to get to me. So when we have a balanced day, and to me, the word balance is the most important word.
So,
When you can
so I
balance,
have to, yes, I have to ask you
go
because
ahead.
my team is already messaging me saying, "Oh, that's a 5-hour shift." If we're only putting a fifth of, so do work calls, qualify as connecting with people? Because then that would become a 10-hour shift.
Oh, no, no, no. I think we don't look at work calls as connecting with people. When you're connecting with people, you're connecting from your heart. You're telling them what you're going through. You're telling them that you're having a bad day. Not only a bad hair day, but you're having a bad day and you're feeling angry and you're feeling upset. So, of course, if you have work friends, you can do that as well. But otherwise, I think it's just about sharing your emotions, sharing your feelings, sharing what you are feeling from the bottom of your heart.
All right, opening this up to everyone. Harish, Iyer, this actually, I mean, this is a beautiful way to divide the day. And I think the challenge is normally that we work for so many hours in the day and then you fit everything else into 1 or 2 hours where, oh, I like dancing, so my fitness can also be dancing. So you've combined those two things. It's how many of us do you think would be able to follow this, break it up into 5 parts?
I think it's going to be challenging, but it's worth an experiment, because I think that we should have, usually what we do is we divide days in the week, the weekend may we will go and do these things. So rather than doing that, what Dr. Anjali is saying is basically ek hi din mein kar lo. Actually, you're not doing something you would have spent the whole weekend at your friend's place gallivanting. So what she's saying is do it in one day instead of keeping everything reserved for the weekend.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that's that. And one of the most important things that I practice quite often, and you would also agree with me, is speaking to animals. As I'm glad that when there's no human support that I find, and I can see Shaheen nodding because of a cats, I guess, cats and
For sure.
dogs. So, so and Kubbra. So I think just no human being might accept you the way
Yes.
animals accept, and just speaking to them on a regular basis, and just telling them, they might not understand what you're trying to say, but they understand where the emotion comes from. And some people do this, they speak to plants and they've seen plants growing. I don't know the scientific basis for it, but I definitely know the emotional basis that it's going to be, it's very fruitfuling. It's very, I feel wonderful after I do that every day.
That's fantastic, actually. My dog feels that I talk too much, and she normally takes a nap when I'm talking to her. She's
I'm
a
really
snob.
chip in to say that Shifu, like while I was staying in at home, and I haven't lived at home for that duration ever. And Shifu eventually just got tired of me. Like he was like, I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to see your face. Just leave. He was tired of me by the end of it.
Shaheen, do you talk to your pets as well?
Consistently, constantly, continuously. I think people just have now accepted this is a weird facet of my personality where I talk to my cats about absolutely everything, and I imagine that they're talking back to me also. But yeah, no, it is one of the most, I think, therapeutic things of my life, having pets. I don't think I would get through my day with the amount of efficiency as I do if I did not have cats, for sure.
So my dog has some separation anxiety because she's a rescue, and a lot of the trainers will say that when you walk through the door and the dog gets really excited, you have to ignore the dog and go away until the dog calms down. And I say that's a terrible thing to do. I mean, here you have someone who's excited to meet you. How could you? And I have to tell the dog about my day, and nobody else wants to know. How do you walk away from an excited dog? Dr. Mundada, same question to you. Is there research that proves that having pets, having something to care for, having something that cares for you, improves your mental
Immensely,
health, mental wellness?
immensely,
Okay.
immensely. I think it is one of the, as everybody here is saying, it is one of the most satisfying experiences that one can have. And in fact, research has shown that, when a mother gives rise to a baby, the beautiful bond that is created between the mother and the baby is because of a X chemical called oxytocin. That is what we say is the love hormone. Or when we have two people madly in love with each other, wherein everything about the other person seems blissful. Again, that hormone is oxytocin. So a similar hormone, oxytocin, is released into your body. That is what studies say when you are deeply connected with your pets. Second thing is, yeah, so that's amazing. Second thing, yeah, it really is amazing, and on that point, you also mentioned while speaking a little back regarding what you were taught in school. Now I just remembered one example wherein even when I was a child, nothing like this was ever told, that mental health needs to be taken care of. But there's a school in some part of Western Europe, and this is a very beautiful example which I think can be replicated all over our country also. When you have the teacher taking the morning attendance, so let's say Faye ma'am is the teacher and everybody else is their student, so you'll say, Sagar, are you present? I'll say yes. Then you'll say the second kid, Raju, are you there? So you'll say yes. What happens there is, let's say the teacher doesn't ask whether you're present or not. Teacher says Sagar says bored today. Then goes to Raju says feeling happy today. Then goes to Kubbra says feeling excited today. Then goes to Harish says I'm really down, feeling or very restless today. So right from the primary level, they are told that in front of 25 other people, it is okay to express what you're feeling. So they become more self-aware to, even if I'm feeling anxious today, it is not a
Yes.
thing of shame. I can say it in front of the whole class proud. So I think that is something that needs to happen when we say that we want to maintain a good mental health. You have to acknowledge it in the open. I had another patient of mine come to me a few days back, and it was her birthday. So I wished her, oh, what a fantastic way to celebrate a birthday. You're coming to a psychiatrist. And she smiled back at me and she said, I asked her, what's your problem? She says, I have no problem at all. I had a bucket list to take care of myself, and I just wanted to see whether my mental health is good or not. And therefore, I came on my birthday and I am seeing you. So if that kind of approach can be taken by more people, I think we will be more in the arena of preventing mental health issues rather than having the reactive approach which we have now, wherein somebody goes
Yes.
into a deep depression or is suicidal, and then the entire family and everybody is behind that person. I think that is something that needs to
You know,
change. It's changing.
one of the things I wanted to talk about is how are you? I'm fine has become almost routine, right? Nobody ever really honestly answers that question. I don't even know if the people who ask that question mean it. It's almost like an extension of hello. Uh, but we never say that how. So when someone says, how are you doing? You never say that, you know what, I'm not, it's not a great day. I don't feel great today, or I don't, I'm bored, or I'm not feeling myself, or whatever it is. My dog didn't talk to me today, whatever it is. We tend to just automatically force a habit, say, hi, I'm fine. And then you just move on from there. And, would it be helpful for people to be a little more open about how they feel? Kubbra, I can see your sort of hand go up.
While I think this I am fine, this line just doesn't fit, doesn't settle with me. I think the other thing, as socially engaged people, I think what we're doing is ask people, hey, you're fine now. Like, we don't even let the other person tell us how they are feeling. So I think
Mm.
important when we start a conversation to actually ask, how are you? And wait for them
Yeah.
to tell us how they are feeling, because I don't think this whole give and take banter works anymore. We've already decided that if I'm feeling a certain way, the other person also must be in that same zone. Because if I'm not feeling great, then I'm taking like the exit route and I'm not even having this conversation with you. But because I'm having this conversation with you, I have taken it for granted that you are feeling just as I'm feeling. And I think it's really important for us to actually ask people, how are you? Hold on, be patient till they tell you how they feel. I think that's extremely important, and I think we're kind of missing on that today.
Yeah. Harish, I know that you spend a large part of your day doing this.
So, so yeah. So when people ask me how are you, I would actually tell them how I'm feeling at that moment. So I actually tell people that I'm not having a good day today. I'm not happy today. I just had a breakup today, or I would tell these things. But I'm also very uninhibited when I have to express something. When it comes to love, all my sentences end with "I love you."
I
Okay,
love
irrespective
you.
of who, who the
I know
person,
this to be
and
true of
especially in a
Harish
close
Iyer, by
circle.
the way.
Sorry.
I know this to be true of Harish Iyer.
Yeah. So so I think, and when I say those things, I really feel those things. It is what you express, is what stays with you also. So many a times I think that while I express things, I am also reminding myself of things that I need to do for myself. When I say I love you, I also say that I need to love myself. So there is a reaction, and there is an action corresponding to that reaction, which happens within me as well. So I think that's what's most important for us to this thing. Be authentic. I mean, the more authentic you are, the more resilient you are as well.
Shaheen, so it's one thing obviously to seek out people who listen to us, but that also means that we have to be better listeners ourselves for the people around us, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, I mean, just talking about this, why don't this "how are you? I'm fine" situation? If you just think about it, what does it mean if someone says, "How are you feeling today?" and you actually tell them, "Well, I'm having a bad day." You're putting yourself in a place of vulnerability, and what we're scared of
Hmm.
is being vulnerable because we've been kind of taught that we don't really have a safe space in which to be vulnerable because it won't be received well. We've kind of been taught over the years that feelings, unless they're good, don't really have any space in the public domain. They don't
Yeah,
have,
yeah,
and even then, if you meet somebody who's like, "Yes, I'm feeling great," even that makes you uncomfortable. If someone's very effusively talking about how good they feel, that will also make
yeah,
you
yeah.
uncomfortable. We're just generally in a place where we've become kind of uncomfortable with feelings, and so the
You're right.
basis for our discomfort is putting ourselves in a place of vulnerability and being afraid of a certain kind of rejection almost.
Hmm, hmm.
And the only way to sort of fight that is empathy. So, like you said, we have to be better listeners because that feeling of rejection and vulnerability is shame. It is shame. And the
Yeah.
only way you kill shame is with empathy. That's shame cannot thrive when empathy is present. And it's quite as simple as that.
It's such a beautiful, powerful thing to have shared. Thank you so much. Because I was just thinking about it, and I remember. I was convent educated for 16 years, right? And one of the things they drill into your head is don't talk about yourself, don't brag about your achievements, don't be such a blowhard. Basically, so you learn to not be really happy in front of other people. So even if something good has happened, you sort of roll it back and you say, so someone say, "Oh my God, yeah, it's okay." Because you don't want to seem, you don't want someone to think that you are, you're conceited about your success. And if something bad happens, you'll be like, "Nah, it's okay." So it's okayed ourselves so much into little boxes where we don't allow ourselves to either feel really happy or either feel really sad until you're in private and you've closed the door. And I've actually done this where you go to a space where you're by yourself and then you allow yourself to feel either truly happy or truly sad. What impact does that have on us for having to like hold it for 8 hours until you till the end of the day, until your 10-hour shift is over and you're able to go home and then let it out? Dr. Chhabria, I come to you first with that. So picking up from what Shaheen said about our society, most societies are not comfortable with emotion. So we tend to hide it.
Right. So, you know, even you were talking about being convent educated. I also went to a convent school. And I remember in kindergarten, I got a prize for being the happiest child of the class. Okay.
Yay!
Now, I mean, just think about it. If we, going back, I'm saying that they were looking at kids who were happy, they were looking at emotions, so I think we need to restart these practices so that we can identify kids who are not very happy, in class itself, and help them to talk about their emotions. What you spoke about is suppressing emotions. Every time you suppress your emotions, they actually become, I mean, to put it in very lay words, they actually become negative chemicals and they go into your body. They go into different parts of your body and they start affecting your hormones. So
Wow.
not only does it affect you physically, it affects you emotionally. It teaches you to wear different masks and not show what you're truly feeling. So I think, I know I'm not saying that people should be crying and laughing, wherever they are, but I think having conversations about, teaching people to express, Sagar said it so beautifully, and these conversations need to start at home, they need to start in schools, they need to start in maybe public places, so people can actually start talking. And yes, as Shaheen also said that, okay, even about social media, you asked this question earlier. What happens on social media is people do not put up bad hair days. Everybody has to look a certain way, behave a certain way, and put on their best smile, right? People don't put up bad pictures. Now we need to teach our kids that it's okay.
Hmm.
It's okay to fail. What will you do when you fail? Let's talk about that. Let's see if your girlfriend says no to you. We need to work on what I call is the adjustment quotient, the adaptability quotient, so that when bad times come, when we don't get things our way,
Yeah.
we should know what we can do.
That's actually really beautiful because even if there's one thing sure in life is that good days like bad days don't last forever, or bad days like good days don't last forever. So things come and go. And I remember someone once telling me that being happy is not about waiting for your problems to end. It's about finding pockets of happiness within your day, because you can't depend on what happens to you. You can't give that power to, to events, that this will happen, then I will be happy, because you will always find a reason to be unhappy, and there'll always be things happening to you. You've handed over the power of your life to somebody else. What we actually need to do is find little pockets within our day where you find happiness in little things. Dr. Mundada?
Very true, very true. I think happiness as a concept has been misunderstood by our entire generation. We always look at happiness as some target point we have to reach, and for that we have to kind of take these steps. But what research tells you is that happiness is a way of life, and there are 3 4 simple points. Thousands and thousands of researchers have come to a conclusion that there are simple 3 4 points which actually determine whether you will be a person who is very happy throughout, or you'll be somebody who's always going to look at the glass which is half empty. If you want to be permanently happy, there's something called as the PERMA model.
Oh, I should
Permanent
write this down.
PERMA. PRMA. So permanent meka, you just take the first 5 words, and it's something called as a new branch of psychiatry called positive psychology. P says a positive outlook towards anything. So basically, no matter what has happened, let's say you have failed today in your 10th standard exams. One way of looking at it is, okay, I have failed. Another way of looking at it is, okay, I made some mistakes. That means I have an opportunity to grow and do something right the next time. So have a positive outlook no matter what the situation is. PEE stands for engagement. So do something that you really like. You almost hear certain actors and actresses saying that when I was shooting for this film, I was into that flow state, and I locked myself for so many days, and when I did it, it was almost done in such a fluent way. So do things that you are good at and that you enjoy, at least for half an hour. It could be absolutely anything. It could just be listening to a song, not singing a song, listening to a song. So engage yourself in something that you really like and that makes you forget time. So engagement into something that is good. R is relationships, and by relationships, as Harishji also said, meaningful relationships. Now, there are many studies which show, and everybody's aware of it, that even if you have 20,000 followers on Instagram, you still might be going to a therapist and you still might not be happy. And you might not be on Facebook, or you might just have 3 friends, but 3 meaningful friends like the ones in Three Idiots, and you'll still be happy. So meaningful relationships is the key if you want to be happy. So that is R of the PERMA model. A stands for accomplishment. The feeling that, yeah, I have done something. When you feel accomplished, it could be the smallest of things, like I don't know, if you're a creative person, I wrote 2 lines of a song. That could be an accomplishment for you. For me as a doctor, it could be that, yeah, there was a difficult case and I really helped them. So that is an accomplishment for me, the feeling that I have done something. When you have that, the chances of happiness are very high. And the last M, I'm not being able to kind
M.
of get, I'm too happy to kind of remember it. I'm
M.
just not. M is if it clicks, I'll let you know. I'm just not able to remember it at this point of time. Too happy.
But Kubbra will agree with me. Let's just like retrofit it. M for mommy, Kubbra. Having parents around always does the trick for me, because I believe that there's almost nothing that your parents can't like cuddle out of you if you're having a really bad day. But I want to give the last word to Dr. Anjali Chhabria. Doc, again, how there's a rough and tumble that happens with life. It's just about finding our feet at the end of the day. So if you were to lead the audience with one idea, what would that idea be?
I think telling ourselves that yes, no matter what happens, I'm going to stay right here and I'm going to find my feet. You know, being mindful of what is happening around you, knowing that nothing is permanent. And the only thing is which you have is what you have in your hands is your effort. And if your efforts are there, if you're going to just stay there and say, no matter what happens, it's like a boat which is shaking. If you keep standing on it and saying, okay, I'm going to do my best, yes, the boat may sink. But if you are mindful of what is happening, you will probably find some float to hold on to, something to hold on to. And yes, you may sink, but there are chances that you may be able to swim through it. It's only 6 months, and COVID. I mean, on the beginning of COVID, we did not even know what's going to happen. And we are out of it. We've suffered through it, so many of us. I have gone through it myself, and it was not so bad. So I think if
Yeah.
we can just hold on, that is what is in our hands.
All right. Quick, search has told us that M for meaning, Dr. Mundada.
Yes, M for meaning. And on that note, because we are discussing good good mental health, and it's okay. And on that note, it's okay to say if you don't know anything, that also ensures happiness. And
Yes.
just one last thing, as we these days we monitor our physical health with Fitbit and this and that. A simple tool that I like to share with everybody is this. This is called a mood meter, and
Okay.
a mood meter, and you have many apps these days wherein you can exactly tap how you're feeling at this point of day. So going from left to right and down to up, if you are in the yellow or the green zone, that means that what you're feeling right now is a positive state of being. And red means angry, as you know, when we describe the color red, that means angry. Blue means that you are at a very, very low place, no energy, no pleasantness. So as we grow from left to right, the pleasantness increases. We go from below to top, the energy increases. And this is something which is scientific. They have tested on thousands of people. So let's say you're getting up in the morning and you're feeling, no, I'm not very happy today. So the color that you'll associate most with, if you're feeling dull and not happy, is blue. The aim has to be, how do I get into the yellow part of it, because that means energy at the start of the day, and how do I get into the green part of it, because that means pleasantness, but a relaxed presence at the end of the day. So this is something I feel everybody, there are
Wow,
many
that's
apps
really cool.
everybody can do. So get up in the morning, see which color your mood is corresponding to, and see by the end of the day, are you able to get it towards the greener side so that life seems all rosy?
Yes, that's really cool. I'm going to give a minute each quickly to Shaheen, Harish, and Kubbra. Shaheen, go ahead.
Final words.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the only thing I really want to say is that exactly what I had said earlier is that I think shame is very central to,
Mm-hmm.
everything to do with not just mental illness, but just mental health in general. And I think one of the most important things that we have to sort of do as a culture, as a society, is sort of, encourage equality between mental health and physical health. It's one of the most important things that we can do, because that lack of equality currently is also what on a much larger level is contributing to that sense of shame. And it starts from the top. It starts from what you're sort of told, on a policy level. We're a country that actually has a fairly good mental health act. It's a matter of sort of enforcing that, and putting that into practice. And that starts with sort of helping eradicating shame, and that needs to also be really done at a policy level. And talking about school, I'm very passionate about sort of talking about feelings and mental health at a school level, because I started experiencing depression when I was 12, and had I known at 12 what I know now, I would have been a lot further along in my emotional education by now. So I think these are the things that we really need to focus on.
Beautifully put. Harish?
I think what I wanted to say, Shaheen has said that. I mean, shame is something. I am a survivor of child sexual abuse, and all my childhood I felt shame about that. When I grew up, I felt shame about my sexuality. I kept assuming that I cannot be gay and I have to fit into a straight world as a straight man. So I think the more and more I got aware and I started accepting myself, and I started expressing myself the way I am, the the true authentic self of who I am. I felt better about myself and also the world around me. I think that's extremely important, that we eradicate shame completely, and we make it okay for people to speak about what they feel. Also, it's important to understand that there is no one person who is a model for any of these mental health challenges. So Shaheen is not the model for anything and everything that's got to do with depression. I'm not the model for everything and anything that's got to do with queer rights or with child sexual abuse. All of us, all of us have our own coping mechanisms. All of us have our own realities, and each of our realities are equally important. So this constant comparison that we do when we hear of stories of other people, that we think that we want to be like this other person, we want to cope like this person has coped. How do you know that we all are coping? We are constantly coping. I'm sure that Shaheen is coping even now. I'm coping even now. So there's nothing like you achieve a certain state totally and you feel that today, you know what, I can rest on my laurels because I've achieved something. It is a constant struggle for all of us, and we are happy even in that struggle. We are making, and that happiness is something that we seek regularly, and that's why we get it.
Kubbra, I'll give you the last one.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure. But I think the fellow panelists on this conversation have said everything from journaling to gratitude to empathy to be better listeners. But I think the one thing that stood out for me was how, if we, identify the crisis of mental health much early on in our life and start seeking, a self-worth that's more important, I find mental health will be in a much better place in terms of preventive measures. Instead of us going out there to fix things that are broken, I think we can help ourselves be so, I don't know, so full, if I can.
Yeah.
Full, yeah. Like, I think if we all start seeing worth in what we do and how we do it and how we can be there for each other. um, a very dear friend of mine says, be a love sniper. Be far away and snipe away love at people. That's what Harish does. That's what, Shaheen does. I think that's what Dr. Anjali said you must do in your day. I think it's really important. Just go out there, do your best, be your best that you can be for.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to leave it here, but it's been an amazing conversation. I know because the team is texting me saying, wow, what a chat this was. So we're really thrilled. Just to do a quick recap, spend time with yourself, talk to yourself, journal, spend time with your pets, do nothing. Focus on the things that you love doing. Working out really helps. Being sort of mindful for a few minutes really helps. Just switch off your phone. Social media is very exciting and it's almost like a drug, but it's not real. What's real are the people around you. What's real are the relationships that you have around you. And it's okay to be happy, sad, feeling contented or feeling inadequate. All of those things are fine. Like Shaheen very powerfully said, you have to evacuate the bad feelings and you have to feel no shame in talking about the way you feel. So very beautiful things. And I'm sure that people who are watching can pick up maybe one or two things that work for you. Not everything would work for you. It's about finding, what works for you. And the Perma Happiness Formula by Dr. Mundada as well. A message from, our collaborators at Fiyama. They've started a campaign called Happy Mess, which basically means that you are happy within the mess that life tends to be. It's an initiative designed to encourage conversations and explore our everyday emotions, sort of own our everyday emotions, and drive an awareness around mental well-being and mental health. So we're really happy to have partnered with them on this conversation. Their hashtag is say more than okay when someone asks you how you're doing. So really happy that we had this conversation, and I hope that we can have more. In an odd greeting, a very happy World Mental Health Day to everybody. Remember to focus on yourself, love yourself, focus on the people around you as well, and make sure they're okay as well. Thank you so much for watching.